Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, bringing a brand new video. And today I'm going to be having an open discussion because, as annual tradition, the Oscar nominations have been released today, belatedly released with, of course, the fires which happened in LA. So there's a lot to talk about. Obviously, I'm not going to be talking about the fire stuff. Obviously, it's quite worrying for the industry. Many people that work in it have lost their homes, their families, lost relatives. It's quite a terrifying thing. And I know that specifically with this award ceremony and so many other film-related things, there has rightfully been a discussion on that and what exactly the first responders have done. And obviously, over here in the UK, it is something we've seen a lot of and know a lot about. But kind of flying this solo, working on my own, and sort of politely moving on from that. And the aspect of today's discussion, I am talking the Oscar nominations. I'm going to be going through the categories. I'm going to be giving some thoughts, some snubs that I don't like, some things I'm delighted to see nominated. Probably go through a lot of films I haven't seen at the same time. It's probably one of the toughest Oscar years in the sense of predictability, which is great for the enjoyment of those that enjoy this season, how different voting patterns and cycles happen. There's no clear, bombastic heavyweight like we've had in recent years. But on top of that, it makes the race more open and everyone's got different opinions. But I need to watch a few more films. That's something I'm taking away. But as always, I do want to hear from people at home. So if you're watching it live, you're more than welcome to comment your thoughts on the Oscar nominations. As I said, I'm going to go through each awards. Jump out if you think I'm missing something obvious, if you disagree with maybe something I'm saying. And as we enter Oscar season, it's a big thing of what we do on the channel. There's going to be reviews coming out for all 10 best film nominees. So we have a couple up on the channel already. And if you're new here, if you haven't subscribed, if you're curious what we do, of course, we're a film review channel. We do discussions of other things. If you go on our homepage and scroll down, we now have a 2025 award season playlist. It's got wrap-up videos from the Golden Globes, the BAFTA prediction, or BAFTA nomination, a few of the reviews from the big films nominated, and that's going to get padded out across the next 5-6 weeks or so until we get to March the 3rd. So, and obviously we'll top it off with our annual Oscars watch along, won't we? So there's lots to look forward to. And if you're curious about other videos, what we're doing, what else we're working on, where we post, we're on all the social medias now: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Blue Sky. You can get a link to the description in the below, and that will pop you through. But as I said, I am here talking the nominations, and I'm going to go through each category. And it's always weird doing these because it's like I'm doing nominations, there's no other way to avoid it. I'm not just going to say a category assuming you know what's nominated, but I'm going to go through them all. So I'm apologies on any butchered pronunciations. Apologies on films I haven't seen if people are curious about, or maybe if I'm completely honest, there's some awards in here which I'm not as well intrigued by or interested by. Unfortunately, it does happen. So I'm gonna, I guess, kickstart a bit way through. I've got it in a set order, so we'll have the heavyweights nearer the end as such. But best live action short, we've got Emilia, I'm Not a Robot, The Last Ranger, Alien, The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent. I don't have any comments to say on that. I've multiple years behind on watching live action shorts. Documentary short, Death by Numbers, I Am Ready, Warden, Instant, Instruments of a Beating Heart, The Only Girl in the Orchestra. Same as live action short, not something I'm well versed on. Best animated short, Beautiful Men, In the Shadow of the Cypress, Magic Candles, Wonder to Wonder, Yuck. Again, the shorts I don't watch. That's not an arrogant thing. I struggle to watch the features, let alone the shorts. So I'm just not going to vague my opinions on this because they'd be wrong. And I think something about awards is there's just a lot of stupid people like to comment on things they've not seen. You can go off what you hear and what people are discussing, but it's just very strange when you see people give an opinion, like a solid opinion on something they have not seen. And I guess that's something I'm going to talk about in a few of the films today, because there is one juggernaut I've not seen, which is the most nominated film for anyone that is curious at that point. But let's keep going. Let's go into some of the big ones. So, best animated feature, we have nominations for Flow, for Inside Out 2, for Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul, and The Wild Robot. Now, I love the fact Wallace and Gromit got nominated. I expect it to do well at BAFTA. It's been nominated for multiple BAFTAs for like Best British Film, Best Animated, Best Family. I would love to see this do well in America. I don't know what the reception of Aardman is in America. It's such a British thing. But Wallace and Gromit getting nomination to me is like a victory within itself. Obviously, you got the heavyweight that's Disney. They'd always win. You can look at Inside Out, one of the highest grossing films in history. Sorry, Inside Out 2. But The Wild Robot was a wonderful film, and I think there could be some momentum with Wild Robot in award season, particularly when it's got a nomination in another category, which I'll get to later on. Best International Feature, we've got I'm Still Here, The Girl with the Needle, Emilia Perez, The Seed of the Sacred Fig, and Flow. Now, Flow being nominated for Best Animated Feature as well as this Best International Feature. I love it when animated films get recognition outside of animation. At the same time of that, it is sat in a category with 2 films up for Best Film. And it's interesting to see what's going to happen. Again, I've not seen I'm Still Here nor Emilia Perez yet. I will be watching them. I'm dreading one of the two, going off what I criticised a minute ago. I've not come across anybody who's enjoyed Emilia Perez, and that's not like a small echo chamber either. Obviously, there's something for it to get nominated everywhere, but a lot of my friends, a lot of people I know from other group chats, other people online, people I've spoke to, it's not a film that I've come across anybody who's enjoyed, let alone even people that have been neutral on it have been surprised at how well it's done at this award season. So I that's going to be one of the first ones on the list that's streaming on Netflix. And I'll talk about reviews at the end of the video. But Best Production Design, we have Wicked, The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, and Conclave. I love the fact Nosferatu, I'm going to talk about it a little bit more later with another nomination, but I was worried that Nosferatu might just be shut out completely, that it came out too late, it didn't do the award festival run, it didn't do Venice, didn't do London, didn't do New York or anything like that. It sort of came out at the cinema, yet it's got 4 Oscar nominations, which is amazing. I love the nominations it has. I was shell-shocked it got 1 of the 4, and I'll talk about that later on. But I'm fully, what do they call them online? The Nosferatu Hive or something. I know they've just released it online. There's an extended edition by 4 minutes. The Lily Rose Depp tape's gone everywhere of her audition. So I'm on the Nosferatu train. And it's a whole variety in that award. The fact Dune's here, one of the juggernauts from the prior Oscar season. And I put Denis on the thumbnail because someone's going to give him some credibility. Best Costume Design. We've got Wicked, Nosferatu, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Gladiator 2. I do not know how Dune has not been nominated. I'm sorry. I'm going to say this again later. That's outrageous, if I'm completely honest. And this is really horrible about Conclave because, yeah, the costumes look great, but it's just religious robes. There's not really any variety of sort. Yes, the ones there look amazing, but really, best costume design of the entire the entire calendar year for cinema. You put Conclave in for costumes. Then you've got things like Dune. Just look at every different outfit that Florence Pugh wore in Dune Part 2. And then that's probably the total amount of outfits that were made for Conclave. It's just a very strange one. Maybe I'm reading into that too much. I don't know. But best makeup and hairstyling, we have A Different Man, Emilia Perez, Nosferatu, The Substance, Wicked. Now, best makeup and hairstyling is a category many people gloss over. I actually think it's one of the best years I've ever seen this category because I'm looking there thinking, okay, Wicked could easily win this. Substance could quite easily win this. Nosferatu could easily win this. Now, I've not seen A Different Man yet, and I know a lot of people have spoken about that, especially Emilia Perez too. It seems stacked. I've never seen makeup and hairstyling that stacked. I can't remember if they've extended it to 5 nominations this year from the 3. But yeah, before I get to that, I'm going to open some comments. We've got Sam. Hello, Sam. The Substance getting 5 nominations, so it makes me very happy. Yes, it does. I'm delighted at The Substance. And I haven't reviewed it for the channel, so I get an excuse to go back to watch it again. And Aaron, as much as June got into a lot of categories, it was absent from the few obvious ones. Yes, there's a really good conversation to be made. Maybe do I bring up challenges now, or should I bring up challenges at soundtrack? I'm going to bring up a soundtrack because there's I've got not a theory. Going off just a bit of history. Ironically, best original score is next. So we have The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot. Now, I love the fact, again, what I said, an animated film getting recognition outside of animation is always a delight. It tends to be score or musical ones, but Challengers wasn't nominated for best score. And I think the score's the best thing in the entire film. It's a very good film. I enjoyed the film. I thought it had great editing. I thought the performances from the 3 leads were very good. I don't think it was a film that really would be up for many, if any, this year. But score, I don't understand. And I'm going to continue. I also don't understand the nonsense reasons of why Dune Part 2 has been disqualified. Another shocker, if I'm completely honest, an absolute shocker. But yeah, okay, Challenges and Dune. It's best to talk about it now. So they were both victims from the strikes. And obviously, we're fully with the strikes. They needed to happen. The studios needed to be reined in. if you actually take the time to read into some of the stuff you're just trying to put in, it's not even just the obvious headline ones. Just read into the varying documents that you can find a line of rejected ideas from studios for trying to end those strikes. Challenges and Dune, to me, were the two big ones that moved. And I remember at the time the conversation was, and they both did well. Of course, Dune did very well financially. The films were ready; they're ready to go, and they got pushed to. Was it both? Dune was in March, and I think it was April for challenges. Now, given the traditional Oscar circuit, right? You put them on for Cannes, you put them on for Telluride, put them on for London, put them on for Venice, New York Film Festival. There's so many festivals to get onto that awards run. By having those two come out so early in the year, there are so many films that these people are watching since these voters, and they're in their face for, and I know they do for your consideration campaigns and whatnot, but I could guarantee you, and this isn't me picking on Wicked because I really enjoyed Wicked. Wicked's got 10 Oscar nominations. It has 10 Oscar nominations because it came out in November and not March. If June came out in November, not March, that'd be getting 10 nominations. And this cycle is unfortunately a part of how the Oscars work, and it's something that always infuriates me. But at the same time, some people might say, yeah, you could have delayed it a year. We needed Dune last March. It was the highest grossing film of the year until Inside Out came out in July. And I'm pretty sure it's still in the top 5 or 6, whether Wicked's overtook it, I don't know. But it needed those. And unfortunately, a side effect of that is that because they came out so early in the year, it does hamper their award season chances. And Dune is probably the biggest victim. Sorry, Challengers, you've just been a victim of best score. But if anyone is bored, go out for a walk and listen to the Challenger score. It's amazing. Honestly, it really does get in the vibe. Best original song. Never Too Late, Elton John, Never Too Late. El Mel from Emilia Perez. Mi Cameo from Emilia Perez. Like a Bird from Sing Sing, and The Journey from the 688. Don't have an opinion on any of those, not seen them. Best Sound. Again, one Oscar. They split it from being the two, which I've always agreed with. A Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Wicked, The Wild Robot. Now, normally there's you always talk about the war films, the historic films that sort of end up winning this. It happens quite a lot. It's just always been like an analogy I've had over time. I don't know. I'm going to moan about Dune again, but I don't know what happens if Dune doesn't win this, because that's going to be one depressing live stream. Best visual effects, and this is what I am always excited for, which I don't think gets the credibility it should. Best visual effects, we've got Alien Romulus, which is amazing to see it get some recognition. Better Man, still not seeing it yet. And I know that the Americans don't know who Robbie Williams is, but that's not an excuse for like, it's a very weird discourse around a different Better Man. Sorry, there's too many Man films. Better Man's had very weird online discourse. And I know there's a lot of weird things online that you get with this industry, but people being fuming that a film got made because they haven't heard of the musician is kind of wild, because is there not a sign to go see it? Like, I don't particularly care for Robin Williams myself. I think he's a complete bellend from being someone that's English and had to put up with him on the media circuit for years and years and years across our childhood. And I'll go one step further and say that I think Taylor's best song is actually without Robin Williams. But I like the fact this has some recognition. Although, in 2 films' time, we'll talk about why it won't win. Dune Part 2, love it, amazed it got there. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, come on, like, you can't give an Oscar for a film for having one ape. It has to be Planet of the Apes, because you sort of fucked over the trilogy. So give it to them on the it's like the Fantastic Beasts effect, isn't it? That, like, they didn't give a single Oscar to Harry Potter films, so they gave Fantastic Beasts best costume as like an apology for having not done it before. King of the Planet of the Apes should win this, and the Wicked's on latest, which I disagree. If I'm really honest with you, I really don't see why Wicked's up over Gladiator 2 for this. Visual effects were fine, but it doesn't look great. Best film editing: Honora, The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Wicked. Let's move on. I'm just going to start moaning about the technical awards. Best cinematography: The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Maria, Nosferatu. Again, Nosferatu, 4 nominations. Now, the one, obviously, I wasn't on this delayed hype train. I love Robert Eggers. He's one, I think, the most interesting directors working today. The one thing I think people, not like, oh, we want to see it of everything. Yeah, of course, it's an ideal world. But in terms of like realistic nominations, I had cinematography down as like, this is the peak it could potentially get this award season. I didn't think anything else was a real possibility without having a festival run. The cinematography, getting a nomination, is a victory within itself. I love this. And the fact it's got 4 nominations. I'm actually surprised it didn't get it for best score as well. I know I was ranting on challenges, but I thought Nosferatu could be one in there. Not over Challengers, because I think Challengers was one of the best scores of last year. Again, Dune, God, my rejected top three is probably better than whoever they're going to pick, aren't they? Best adapted screenplay: Complete Unknown, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Nickel Boys, Sing Sing. Now, first time I've seen Nickel Boys today. First time seeing it on the awards I'm going through. I haven't seen the film, and I've heard a lot of good stuff about Nickel Boys, and it's something I'm looking forward to. It's almost had a bit of momentum. It's coming toward the end. We've got Sing Sing as well. The first time I think I'm talking about that, I could be wrong, which is one of the snubs which I'll talk about later. It almost made the thumbnail. That I am curious about these. There's obviously, as I said, a few I need to watch, but I've always liked the screenplay ones. Am I going to moan that Junior get nominated again? Probably not, because it was technically half the book, so I can understand that. Best original screenplay, though, we have Anora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5th, The Substance. Delighted A Real Pain made it in. I think it's an absolutely incredible screenplay from Jesse Eisenberg. It's great to see that recognition from him for this film. Obviously, we'll talk about Kieran Culkin later, but I thought the screenplay was really good, and the actors got the best out of that screenplay, but they had great material to work with. I really, really liked it, and I'd like to see more from him with his career as he progresses. And The Substance, great. Delighted. Again, didn't know these guys would make it. Anora, first time I spoke about it today, loved it. Loved that film. And yeah, screenplay is a really fun category this year. Best Supporting Actress, we got Monica Barbaro for Complete Unknown, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, and Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez. Now, let's just assume Zoe Saldana's winning, because she seems to be winning everywhere. Isabella Rossellini, just to me, shouldn't be nominated. She was good in the film, but she's got one scene and it's done. She's got one good scene. That is not a better performance than Margaret Qualley in The Substance, is it? It was not better than anything she did in that film, and I maintain that. One of the big stumps people will say is Selena Gomez not being nominated for Emilia Perez, which is funny because I hear she's the worst thing in the film. Again, the film's going to have its fans somewhere, right? It's got 13 nominations this year. So whether it ends up being one of those that gets 13 nominations and no wins, or 2 wins or something, I don't know. But and I love seeing that Monica Barbaro is in this. I've not seen A Complete Unknown yet. I didn't get the chance to go last weekend. It's just come out here in the UK, but I am delighted. I loved her in Top Gun Maverick, and she's an actress that I've sort of kept an eye since, so I'm looking forward to that. And Ariana Grande, I said from the get-go, she was, I thought, the best thing in Wicked. I think she's amazing in that. I really hope she'd get an Oscar nomination. She did, so I'm quite happy with that one. But yeah, a bit of a mixed one. The Brutalist is out in UK cinemas tomorrow, and my nearest cinemas aren't showing it yet. Cinema would have the cheek to be talking about Oscar nominations online, which is hilarious. The Best Supporting Actor: Yura Borisov for Nora, Kieran Culkin for Real Pain, Ed Norton for Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. Love the Jeremy Strong nomination. Didn't know they'd do this. I didn't think The Apprentice would get nominated. I think I said in the BAFTA video, if anyone's watched it, that I don't think Apprentice would get any recognition outside of the UK. I think for obvious political reasons, I didn't think voters would want that in there. Like the collective voters would want it in there. I didn't think the performances would get the recognition they have. And from the day I saw that film, I said, Jeremy Strong is incredible in this film. He needed that nomination. He deserves that nomination. And we're going to get a lovely little reunion for Succession, aren't we, with Kieran Culkin and Jeremy Strong on the red carpet together. But, and there's a but here, no Denzel. I feel horrible picking on Yura Borisov for sort of 2 weeks in a row, but he's not better than Denzel Washington in Gladiator 2. I'm sorry. I loved Anora. Anora's one of my favourite films last year. I prefer Anora to Gladiator 2. That performance wasn't better than Denzel in Gladiator 2. I'm sorry. I don't know what on earth they're on. BAFTAs is more embarrassing because at least Denzel's already won 2 Oscars. They've been nominated 9 times, unlike BAFTA, who's nominated them 0 times. But yeah, very, very strange. Let's go Best Actress. Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Perez, Mikey Madison in Anora, Demi Moore into The Substance, and Fernando Torres, I'm Still Here. The big takeaways: Cynthia Erivo being nominated, which was very good. Again, I'm this is the category I'm like the least qualified to talk about at the moment, because the big stubs, we got Nicole Kidman, Angelina Jolie, and Mariana Jean-Baptiste. They're the 3 snubs people are talking about. At the same time, the 5 names we have here, I don't see people moaning at those nominations either. So I'm probably the least qualified to give a valid opinion on that yet. I'm sure by Oscar Sunday I can do. But I love the fact Mikey Madison's nominated. I love the fact Demi Moore's been nominated. I'd love either of those 2 to win. I know that Fernando Torres won the Golden Globe. So I sort of, with the hype and the discussion, the point that comes around that, I assumed it should make it in for the Oscar nomination. Whether she makes it in and wins, I do not know. But I think this is Demi Moore's year. I loved her in The Substance. I did think Mikey Madison's better in Anora, but it will go, and not horribly, it will go for that career retrospective comeback type narrative compared to here's a great young actress that's just done this outrageous performance. And it's probably not a film that a lot of the voters are going to enjoy all around Anora. I'm glad it's got so many nominations, but this is where I think BAFTAs, Oscars, etc. get a bit snobby about obviously what some of the stuff seen in those films. Best actor though, if Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet for Complete Unknown, Colman Domingo for Sing Sing, Ray Fiennes for Conclave, and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. Now, the first talking point again is there's no Daniel Craig nomination. I've seen this. I think he's like that very unlucky on the cusp where in every polling he was probably like 6th or 7th. The discussion was, is Sebastian Stan going to split the vote with The Apprentice and A Different Man? And he hasn't. He's managed to get him for The Apprentice, which is amazing. Personally, I thought he was very good in it, but I didn't know if his performance was best actor caliber. I loved him in it, and I think given the political spectrum, the nomination is a win within itself for Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. I'm sure there'll be some tweets going around at some point in the coming weeks about this, but I love the fact he's been nominated. Ray Fiennes, I was saying I think it could be with him for his career Oscar. I really can't call it. We've got Adrian Brody, the heavyweight, but now we've got the big AI discussion around The Brutalists, which the director, it wasn't used on the landscaping, it was used in Hanson, thinking, oh no, it's the real actors' voices, blah, blah, blah. Is that enough noise to disrupt them from picking it as a winner? And I will really say this isn't me saying if there was AI used. If there was AI used, then they absolutely should not be putting him forward for best actor on the vocals. Granted, there's been campaigns for like motion capture people should get a nomination for best actor, which to a degree collabs with that, but they're going to be it's not artificial intelligence, that's VFX artists enhancing a performance. But if it has been AI, it's the nonsense Rami Malek stuff where it's like Rami Malek won an Oscar for playing Freddie Mercury. Great. Did he sing? No, he didn't sing, actually. They just put Freddie Mercury's voice over the top of the karaoke song. So to me, that's one of the worst Oscar wins of my lifetime. And I think there's been so many great musical biopics since where actors have had to learn how to sing. Look at Timothy Chalamet in this film as well. He had to learn to play the guitar and to sing to be able to play Bob Dylan. I think that's more worthy recognition than anything that's been done of those other ones. So it's a really interesting year. We've got Colman Domingo, who I absolutely adore in everything I've seen him in. And he seems to have somewhat of a presence in this awards circuit in recent years. I haven't seen Sing Sing yet. It's been shunned from Best Picture. But I think Best Actor might be the most open it's been in years. It doesn't feel like I think there was a lot of talk of the Adrian Brody, but it feels like it could be, if I'm honest, any of Brody, Chalamet, and Ray Fiennes. I think there'll be a narrative for all three of them. Let's talk Best Director. Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez, Sean Baker for Anora, Bradley Corbet for The Brutalist, Coralie Fargo for The Substance, and James Mangold for Complete Unknown. Now, James Mangold getting in is great. I don't think anyone had that down as a prediction. Quite a shock in a positive way. I love Mangold as a director. I think he's a great director. And it's clear that the Academy voters have loved A Complete Unknown. I think it's like the third most nominated film of this entire Oscar season, or for the Oscars this year. And there's no Denis Villeneuve nominations there. Again, I haven't seen Emilia Perez or The Brutalist yet. I can't, or A Complete Unknown. So at the moment, I can't give you a valid opinion. But I am gobsmacked that they've not nominated Denis for Dune again. 15 nominations for the first two films, right? And he's not been nominated for director, but he's made two films that have had 15 nominations between them. Whether this is going to be some Return of the King nonsense where you're not allowed to have something until you've wrapped out a trilogy, I don't know. What people seem to forget with Return of the King is that it's actually one of the worst Oscars in history. It's nothing to do with Return of the King. If you look at the films that Return of the King was up against, it is one of the worst Oscar years you'd ever set your eyes on. And it rightfully sweeps. But I am, I'm not sure on this. I don't understand. Again, is it because it came out in March, not November? Last time it came out in October and it didn't get nominated, but it got 10 technical nominations. So, yeah, I've got a bit cold feet, but as I said, I'm going to need to watch a few more films. But best film, the headliner, 10 nominations. Let's go. Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. Now, most of these we expected are in there, which is fine. Like I don't have opinion on the ones that we kind of knew would be in there. I guess we can say the real shock is I'm Still Here and Nickel Boys both making it in. The only one in my head now, I'm not sat here Googling, researching, looking, articles, who's done who, who's done that, who's done that. Sing Sing I thought was locked in for this. I'd seen so much about Sing Sing. It didn't get nominated for screenplay either, which caught me off guard. And I know that obviously I mentioned Common Domingo's been nominated, but I was surprised at this one, especially with the 10 picture, you get 10 films nominated. At the same time, I'm really curious to find out a bit more about Nickel Boys and I'm Still Here, because they're the two I know the least about. They're the two that maybe are newer, have had, again, the UK, we always get shafted release dates, don't we? I don't know enough about those two to even form an opinion, but the only one I expected to see there, which I didn't see there, is Sing Sing, which I've heard amazing things about too, which I will be watching. Even though it's not part of the 10, I will be watching that because I want to know if it should have been in that 10. And that's kind of how I feel with this. It's not the most deep Oscar year. Like, yeah, last year was like every week we're talking about Oppenheimer winning everything because it should have and it was right to, but it's really, really interesting. Aaron, for Best Picture, I think if Emilia Perez was sought for either Sing Sing, The Wild Robot, or Real Pain, we have a near perfect lineup. Yeah, I loved The Real Pain. Again, I've not seen Sing Sing. I loved Wild Robot. That'd have been one hell of an outsider to have gotten for Best Film. It probably wasn't far off, if I'm honest. Again, it's The Wild Robot's a film that's done very well in this award season for an animated film. And I'm not dismissing animated films, but if you look at it from the approach of voters, it's obvious that across the history that animated films don't really get anything outside of best animated film. Like, they don't really get a look in. They're quite disrespected to an extent, and there's been very few nominated for best film. I do wonder if Wild Robot might waltz that category. Again, I'm very pro Wallace and Gromit. I loved Wild Robot. I've really enjoyed it. It's got a phenomenal voice cast as well. But I'm on the Wallace and Gromit hype train. Like, that'd be like a British invasion at the Oscars if Wallace and Gromit won Best Animated Film, wouldn't it? The Ottoman Empire taken over. That I want to see. Wallace and Gromit was superb. But again, in America, it premiered at one festival and it went onto Netflix. Did it have that impact that it had in the UK? No. Like, the UK, obviously, it was huge here. It was Christmas Day release. It should win a few BAFTAs. And they nailed it. And again, it's that whole British thing. Wallace and Gromit's a British thing. It's been going on for decades. It's the return of Wallace and Gromit. So, yeah, I'll be talking about Wallace and Gromit Day, which is delightful. But I think that's the core of everything I've got to say about this. It's a fun Oscar season. But I know what I've got to talk about next, though, is, well, what are we doing? So, as I mentioned, we have a playlist on the channel, and you can find it on our homepage. It's got everything that we'll continue to update. So if you're just a casual fan of film stuff, you're curious about the Oscars, you can check that out now. It'll have reviews. I think off the top of my head, it's Wicked, Conclave, and I put both Dune reviews on, like the spoiler discussion, the big one, and the original one. So there will be videos coming out, and if you're a subscriber, you might have seen I'm not really posting much recently. We've done Skeleton Crew, which was amazing. We have been waiting for Oscar season to essentially put a plan in place to take us through to March the 3rd. Now, I have a schedule open in front of me. February is dead. Like, the only film coming out I have written here is Captain America Brave New World. Now, obviously, there's going to be a war season throughout. We're going to have the BAFTAs on the 16th. I know Oscars, the 2nd of March in America, but 3rd in the UK. Not like, content. I don't believe in that, just calling everything content. But I need to see a lot of the Oscar films that are nominated, because I think it's hypocritical nonsense to have an opinion on the Oscars if you haven't seen them, if you haven't took the time to look at those nominated films. Not that we're a voter or anything of that importance, but if we're going to sit there and doing a live stream on the Sunday, at minimum, you must have seen all 10 best films. And I want to make sure we have reviews of those. So I haven't set the maths out, but if I'm right, there should be one best film review a week, sometimes two, and that's going to be weekly, putting us through to the Oscars. We've got, I think, I think 5 weeks, if I'm honest. I think we've got 5 to 6 weeks to do 7 film reviews. On top of that, and I'm saying this in terms of this has been a day in my head, there may be some Mount Rushmores orientated around award season. Maybe there'll be a Mount Rushmore of film directors. Maybe there'll be a Mount Rushmore on film composers. Maybe there'll be a Mount Rushmore on actors or actresses. There's going to be a little bit more this year. We're going to have a live stream for the Oscars. We're going to have the annual animated rundown video. We're going to have a discussion on the BAFTAs. I don't do ones for the PGAs, SAGs, stuff like that. I don't particularly care for those. They're important, but they're not the big ones. But I do want to make sure we're getting reviews out for those. So this channel's going to get Oscar heavy in the next 5 weeks. And if you're a fan of the Oscars, then do stick around, hit the subscribe button. As I said, they're on the way. If you're not a fan of the Oscars, well, we've got Captain America coming in mid-February still. We've got Friendly Neighbors, Spider-Man starting next week. If we're lucky, we'll get videos early. If we don't, we'll do a wrap-up when it's finished. There are films being released. I'm not watching Flight Risk, though. I'm sorry. Let alone the fact is Mark Wahlberg's head in that film is terrifying. So I'm not going to be watching that at the cinema. There's a lot of films I need to catch up with. So, yes, Flight Risk, you're not one of those. So that's going to politely outro out this video. To everyone that's been watching, thank you so much. For those who commented, thank you for commenting. As I said, the war season's a little bit different this year. We are going to have things in place. And when we move past from that, there's a lot more to look forward to this year. It's going to be one hell of a year, I hope. So that's going to do for everything today. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.